that Starmer's government helped to cover up on these Pakistani rape gangs allowed to operate with impunity for years in the UK.
You sent me there to fight for change, not to do things how they've always been done. If you come here illegally, you will be deported. Not housed in luxury accommodation, deported.
One man, one seat in Parliament, no cabinet, no party machine, no coalition behind him. And yet right now, in the summer of 2026, Rupert Lowe is doing more damage to the British political establishment than any opposition leader in a generation. Not because he has power, because he has something the entire Westminster class has lost, a country that is actually listening to him. While Keir Starmer was resigning in disgrace and Andy Burnham was scrambling to fill the vacuum, Rupert Lowe was releasing a 219-page report that the government refused to respond to. He was standing in Parliament, looking the Prime Minister in the eye, watching him block a national inquiry into the mass rape of British girls. And when Starmer finally walked out of Downing Street, Lowe's statement was 3 lines long, and it said everything. He has been a truly disgraceful Prime Minister. He has deliberately and rapidly accelerated the destruction of our Britain. That is not a politician talking. That is an ultimatum. And before we go through exactly how Rupert Lowe just crippled this government and what his next move means for every party on the British right, let's be honest. The mainstream press has spent 18 months trying to dismiss him. They called him a fringe figure, a one-man band, a social media gimmick. That strategy has failed completely, and they don't want to explain why. That's why British front media exists. Subscribe now for the full picture. Reason number 1, Lowe dropped a 219-page rape gang report on June 16th, and the government said nothing. On June 16th, 2026, Rupert Lowe published what he called the Rape Gang Inquiry Report, a 219-page document compiled from survivor testimonies, whistleblower accounts, and court records, funded by over 20,000 public donors who contributed more than £600,000 between them. The report claims grooming gangs operated in at least 149 local authority districts, nearly 40% of the entire United Kingdom. It demanded mandatory recording of ethno-religious patterns in exploitation cases. It demanded deportation of all foreign nationals convicted of group-based child sexual exploitation. It demanded institutional accountability from police, councils, schools, and the NHS. Everybody that the report argues allowed these gangs to operate with impunity. Keir Starmer's government issued no response, not a line, not a statement, not a minister dispatched to address the findings. The BBC refused to cover it, and 6 days later, the Prime Minister resigned. The timing is not a coincidence. The silence is not an accident. When a government cannot respond to a publicly funded, survivor-led inquiry into the mass sexual exploitation of British children, that government has already lost the argument. It has only not yet lost the office. Reason number 2, Lowe watched Starmer block a national inquiry in Parliament and turned it into the defining image of this government's collapse. This is the moment that crystallised everything. In his resignation statement after Starmer fell, Lowe wrote, "I sat in Parliament, looking him in the eye, listening to him attempting to justify his decision to block a national inquiry into the mass rape of young British girls. I will never forgive him." That sentence will follow every Labour leadership candidate into the next election, because it asks the only question that matters. If the evidence is this overwhelming, if over 250,000 victims are claimed in the report, if the abuse stretched across 149 local authority areas, if it was funded publicly by tens of thousands of ordinary people, then why did the most senior elected politician in Britain choose not to hold a statutory national inquiry? What was he protecting? And who was he protecting it from? Lowe has turned that unanswered question into the loudest sound in British politics, and nobody in government has been brave enough to answer it. Reason number 3. While the government ignored him, Elon Musk amplified him, and the numbers became impossible to dismiss. Here is what the political class does not want to reckon with. Rupert Lowe is not winning on the doorstep, he is winning on the screen. And the scale of that victory is extraordinary. The Financial Times reported that X has been instrumental in helping the party gain reach, with Lowe and Restore Britain commanding a combined following of over 1 million as of May 2026. Lowe himself has over 770,000 followers and posts roughly 10 times a day. Elon Musk has repeatedly boosted Restore Britain. including sharing Lowe's posts in the days around the Makerfield by-election. The Financial Times noted that Lowe had achieved 10 posts with at least 10 million views since launching Restore Britain. Nigel Farage, with 3 times as many followers, had 0 in the same period. By the end of May 2026, Lowe had earned £72,441 from X, more than any other MP in Britain. Farage's response? He told The Telegraph that Restore Britain is one man with a social media account. That is a man who has lost the argument trying to dismiss the platform. Reason number 4, Restore Britain hit 96,000 members from a standing start, and the establishment has no idea how to stop it. Political parties in Britain take decades to build membership bases. Restore Britain was launched as a pressure group on the 30th of June 2025. It became a registered political party on 13th February 2026. Within days of that announcement, it claimed 50,000 members. 2 days later, 70,000. By June 2026, the figure stood at over 96,000. Restore's local affiliate in Great Yarmouth won 10 council seats at the 2026 local elections. Former Reform councillors are defecting. Former Conservative figures helped build it before backing away when it converted to a formal party. Al Jazeera described Restore Britain as arguably even more anti-immigration than Farage himself. The I-Paper called it a genuine threat to Farage and a challenge to mainstream politics. The Week said it had positioned itself as the true voice of the right. These are not friendly outlets. These are people watching something grow and struggling to explain it. Lowe's manifesto pledges the most ambitious programme of mass deportations in British political history. It calls for the suspension of all asylum claims. It demands the upholding of Christian constitutional values. It is not trying to occupy the centre ground. It is making the argument that the centre ground sold Britain out, and that the voters who feel that have nowhere else to go. Reason number 5. Starmer's resignation handed Lowe the one thing he couldn't buy: political vindication. When Keir Starmer resigned on the 22nd of June 2026, after Labour lost control of 35 councils, after Welsh Labour suffered its worst defeat since 1922, after his own cabinet ministers turned on him in waves, Rupert Lowe became the man who had been right all along, not in the parliamentary sense, not through any vote he won, but in the court of political narrative, which is the only court that matters in the age of social media. Every claim Lowe had made, that Starmer was accelerating Britain's decline, that the government would not face the grooming gang scandal honestly, that the Labour project was hollow at its core, was given retroactive credibility by the Prime Minister walking out of Downing Street with nothing to show for 2 years in power. Lowe said Starmer deliberately and rapidly accelerated the destruction of our Britain. Whether you agree with that assessment or not is almost beside the point. Millions of British people are reading it, and they are not dismissing it. Reason number 6. What comes next is the real ultimatum, and Downing Street has no answer for it. Rupert Lowe ended his statement on Starmer's resignation with these words: "Whatever comes next, Restore Britain will be ready to offer the British people a democratic route out, a better way, the only way." That is not a eulogy. That is a declaration of intent. The next general election is scheduled for 2029. Andy Burnham, widely expected to become the next Prime Minister through the same palace appointment process that installed his predecessors, will walk into Downing Street carrying every unresolved question that destroyed Starmer: the grooming gang inquiry, the early prisoner releases, the immigration numbers, the cost of living crisis. And Lowe will be there every single day, on X, in Parliament, in the comments, in the algorithm. The Financial Times noted in May 2026 that Restore Britain was seeking to outdo Farage in anti-immigrant rhetoric and embracing a form of hardline nativism that has rarely been seen in British politics since the de facto disappearance of the BNP. That is the political establishment's framing. Here is the other framing, the one 96,000 members have chosen, that Rupert Lowe is the only politician in Britain willing to say what they are thinking. And no amount of institutional pushback, media silence, or fact-checking has slowed that down by a single day. So here is where Britain stands in June 2026. Keir Starmer has resigned. The grooming gang report sits unanswered. Restore Britain has 96,000 members, 10 million view viral posts, and Elon Musk amplifying every word. A one-man party just outlasted a prime minister. And the ultimatum Lowe sent to Downing Street was not delivered in a letter or a speech or a press conference. It was delivered in a 219-page report that the government could not face, in a parliament that watched a prime minister choose silence over accountability, and in a statement 3 lines long that said everything the establishment refused to say. The route out Lowe is promising, whether you want it or fear it, is coming, and Downing Street has not yet found a single answer for it. Subscribe to British Front Media.